Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kara, and today's video is going to be all about how much money you need to purchase a home. I'm going to be breaking up this video into 3 different parts, those being money that's needed for closing, how you can reduce your closing costs, and also reoccurring monthly expenses. Something that I get asked all the time is, what are closing costs? What's even involved in that? How much do I need for a down payment? And I am going to go into all of these questions for you today. I also want to preface this video with the fact that I myself am not a mortgage lender. I am not giving any sort of financial advice. This is just basically a high-level overview of what you can expect. All right, let's get right into it. So starting out with down payment. A lot of you probably already know this if you've watched any of my past videos, but you do not actually need a 20% down payment to purchase a home. So it totally depends on what type of loan you end up getting. For example, if you get a USDA or a VA loan, you might actually have to put down 0%. Of course, you have to qualify for those loans. However, if you are getting an FHA loan or a conventional loan, the minimum down payment is 3%, so not as high as 20%. I will add in here that if you are planning to get an FHA loan, you will have to pay for mortgage insurance throughout the life of that loan. If you're getting a conventional loan and you're putting down less than 20%, you'll also have to pay for mortgage insurance. But if you're putting down more than 20%, or once you've paid off 20% of the loan, then you no longer need to pay for mortgage insurance. Closing costs are typically 2 to 5% of your purchase price, and there are a lot of different things that are involved in closing costs. I'll go ahead and list a few of them for you. Closing costs are going to consist of things like a credit report fee, loan application, appraisal, mortgage origination, title insurance, lender insurance, title search, deed, underwriting fees, prepaid taxes, prepaid insurance. There are a lot of different pieces that go into closing costs. I would say if you want a breakdown of each of these individual items and what each one might cost, I would recommend speaking to a mortgage lender. But just know that this group of items will typically be 2 to 5% of the purchase price. So to recap, we have the down payment amount, which can be minimum 0%, more likely it's going to be a minimum of 3%, and then we have the closing costs, which are 2 to 5% of the purchase price. In addition to this, there will also be a due diligence fee and earnest money deposit. So I've mentioned this in some of my previous videos, but in case you're new to my channel, welcome by the way if you are. Due diligence is something that is common here in North Carolina. Just to give you a quick overview, due diligence is something that you pay to the seller that is non-refundable. It effectively shows your level of interest in the property and reimburses the seller for taking their property off the market for you. However, if you do make it all the way to settlement, then that amount does go towards your closing costs. And same with earnest money. Earnest money is an amount that is refundable during your due diligence period. I know the wording is a bit confusing, but earnest money is refundable while you're getting things done like your inspections and your appraisal. During that due diligence period, you can get your earnest money back. However, if it's after that, the seller gets to keep your earnest money. So ultimately, if you go under agreement on a home and you make it all the way to settlement, your due diligence and earnest money deposits will go towards those closing costs. So definitely keep that in mind. Something to also note is that a lot of lenders will require some sort of cash reserves, usually in the amount of 1 to 2 months of your mortgage payment. Now, even though this isn't always a requirement, it's definitely something that I would recommend, because you don't want to spend every last penny purchasing a home. Let's say you move into your new home, you go to take a shower and the water's cold, and you find out that the water heater just broke and you need a brand new one, and now you have to dish out $1,000 or more on a brand new water heater, but you ended up using all your money on your closing costs and your down payment. That would not be a good situation. So I always recommend having some sort of reserve amount to cover some of those unexpected things that may happen to you. I want to talk now about a few ways that you can possibly reduce your closing costs. One of the ways is through a lender program. So if you're a first-time home buyer, absolutely ask your lender if they have any sort of first-time home buyer programs. There are also some other programs out there, even if you're not a first-time home buyer, but I would say the majority of them are geared towards first-time home buyers. Another way to reduce closing costs is to ask the seller to pay for some of those for you. So in the extremely strong seller's market that we are in right now, I would say this isn't really typical, at least in the initial phase of going under agreement. So when you place an offer, there's an area on the document that says you're asking for a certain amount of money from the seller to help pay for your closing costs. When placing an offer in this market, unless you really need that assistance, I would not recommend asking for it on the front end. I say that because once you're under agreement and you go through your inspections, let's say you find a few items that need to be repaired or replaced. This is where you can actually go to the seller and ask them for seller's assist. So even though you didn't ask for it at first, you are able to ask for it again later. Something to note here is that it can be a little bit risky because your due diligence amount is on the line and at risk. If you back out of that deal, if the seller doesn't give you the amount of money that you really need, then you're going to lose that due diligence. So definitely keep that in mind. Another way that you can reduce closing costs is to get some sort of gift from a family member. So this is definitely something you need to talk about with your lender because there will need to be transaction history and often a gift letter that you'll need to provide to them. So there are some details that will need to be worked out with your lender, but that is another way that you can reduce closing costs. The last thing I want to go into is what goes into your monthly payment. So your monthly mortgage payment is made up of 4 different parts, those being principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Now, the first few years of your loan, most of your payment is going to be going towards interest. And the reason for that is because lenders know that people don't tend to stay in the home for 30 years, in other words, the length of most loans. So they're going to charge you a lot more interest on the front end. Another amount that might be rolled into your monthly expenses would be private mortgage insurance, as I was mentioning earlier, if you have an FHA loan or a conventional loan with less than 20% down. Something else I want to mention is that if you're purchasing a home in cash, a lot of the amounts that I've been mentioning are going to be less. You're not going to have lender insurance or a credit report fee or a loan origination fee or a mortgage application fee, any of those things. So if you are purchasing a home in cash, your closing costs will be significantly less than someone who is getting a mortgage. Well, that is it for today's video, guys. If you are in the Asheville area and you are looking for a local lender, feel free to reach out to me. I have a few that I work with quite consistently, and I would be more than happy to recommend them to you. They'll be able to go into even more detail with you about exact amounts for your closing costs and what you can expect throughout the mortgage application process. If you would like some of those contacts, I will leave my contact information in the description box below, as well as at the end of this video. Feel free to reach out to me anytime and I'll be happy to share them with you. I also quickly want to say that I have another video coming out soon that's sort of related to this one, and that's going to be all about how you can save up money to purchase a home. So if that's something that you're looking forward to, definitely hit the like button, leave me a comment below and let me know what you thought of this one, and also if you're excited to see that one too. Also, if you're not subscribed, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It means so much to me. And also share this video with your family and friends. It really helps my channel to grow. Alright guys, I will see you very soon in the next one.